friends, it's Carrie here from Dream Up, and today I want to show you how I built my wolf puppets. This is part 1, where I'm going to show you how I built the head. In part 2, I'll show you how I built the body and how I put it all together. I started with the wolf mask pattern I got from ultimatepapermache.com. Since this is not my pattern, I'm not going to show you how to assemble the pieces. The pattern has very easy to follow instructions, and Johnny has already put together a comprehensive video showing exactly how to assemble it. I cut the pattern out on my laser cutter using a medium weight chipboard. I'm pretty sure Johnny recommended against using chipboard in her instructions, but I'm stubborn, so I tried it anyway. Honestly, I struggled a bit to make these pieces conform to the shape I wanted, so if you're going to try this yourself, you've been warned. Once the head was assembled, I covered it with several layers of paper mache. After the paper mache was fully dry, I backfilled the head with a 2-part expanding foam from Smooth On. This was the first time I'd worked with this particular product, and I have to say I was really impressed. If you don't want to use the 2-part foam, you could probably just use the expanding foam that comes in a can from the hardware store. Once the foam was set, I cut holes for the eyes and then set those in place with some lightweight 2-part epoxy clay. I covered the heads with 2 different colors of faux fur. Because I'm just gluing the fur in place, I didn't need to make a pattern and sew everything together like I would with a doll or a plush toy. I basically just laid the fur onto the head, glued it in place, and then trimmed off what I didn't need. I could piece everything together this way because the pile of the fur would just cover up all the seams. The white fur I used is actually a long pile fur. I used an electric hair trimmer to make it shorter and to blend it in with the other fur. After that, I continued to blend the white fur into the other fur using watered-down acrylic paints. A reference photo is really handy here. Acrylic paint will make faux fur really stiff, which is actually not a bad thing for a puppet. You can see here I'm slowly building up layers of color until I've got something close to my reference photo. I've left in most of the painting process here in case you'd like to see the transformation, but feel free to skip ahead to the before and after if you don't want to see the whole thing. Next up, ears. I cut the ears out of the same medium weight chipboard using my laser cutter. I used Fabri-Tac to glue each of the ears onto the white fur, and you'll notice I put some arrows on the chipboard. This was to remind me to place the ears with the fur going in the right direction. After they were all glued down, I cut them out. Using a sharp pair of scissors, I did my best to cut only the fabric layer of the fur and to avoid cutting the fur itself. I then glued the other side of the ears to the fur, again, taking care to align them with the fur going in the right direction. And then of course I also cut those out and then painted them to match. After they were painted, I went back in and added a piece of wire to each ear to help attach them to the heads. I probably should have done this step before adding the fur, but it really wasn't that big of a deal to kind of peel up some of the fur and get the wire situated in there. Once I decided where I wanted the ear to sit, I used an awl to poke some holes through all the layers of paper mache, chipboard, and into the foam. And then I double-checked the placement and secured them into place with some hot glue. And that is it for part 1. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a magical day.